You're still with me? Great. Almost at the end, I think we got a lot of a better understanding of what the Vue instance does and how we can work with it. I got a couple of topics I still want to cover though, and one of the most important ones is how it uses its template. We already learned that it takes its HTML code here and creates a template which it stores internally. It basically behind the scenes converts it to JavaScript since it's quicker to run through JavaScript than the native DOM. It uses this template and then it's aware which string interpolations do we use there, at which position, and so on. And it's able to update this template whenever we change something which is reflected in there. And on the other hand, it won't update it if we change some property which is never output or never listened to. So it then is able to update this if it needs to, and will write it to the native DOM, the one we're seeing here in the browser, and change or make the necessary changes. Regarding this template, it automatically picks the HTML code contained in this app1 div, since this is what we tell it here with the L property. We tell it, hey, the element you should choose is app1. Now guess what? We can also do the following. We can remove the element here. Now no element at all. If I hit Control Enter, it's therefore gone. We see the curly braces because now it's not controlled by VueJS anymore. And I can instead go below the creation of this Vue instance. Keep in mind it's stored in the VM1 variable. And I can also call VM1 $mount. You probably see a pattern here. The properties prefixed with $sign are the native VueJS methods and properties we can use. $mount is not actually a property, it's a method, and it allows us to do the same as the L property, if set, like here, does automatically. We can pass the element where we want to mount our application. And I can do this just the same way as I would do it on the L selector or the L property. I pass the CSS selector of the place I want to mount the app at. So hashtag app1, if I now hit Control Enter, it works again. So the only difference here is basically the different syntax. Behind the scenes, it works the same. The L property, well, makes it easier for us. If we know where to mount it, use the L property because, well, this is just what it is meant for, right? It does the same as VM1 $mount, but automatically. But you might have a use case where you want to configure and set up your Vue instance, but you don't know yet where to mount it, or the object, the HTML element where you want to mount it doesn't exist yet. In such a case, you could create it, execute some other code, and once you know where to mount it, you can call the variable name where you stored your instance, $mount, and as an argument, pass the selector leading to the element where you do want to mount it. There's also one other thing you can do with templates and instances. I'm going to create a new div with an ID of app3, and that doesn't contain anything, it's empty. I'll also create a new Vue instance down here, new Vue, and in this Vue instance, I will do something we haven't seen yet. I'll use a new property, template. Until now, we always use the HTML code we already had in our document, in our HTML file, and told Vue.js, hey, take control over this part, like for example the app2 part here. We can also do it the other way around. We can create our own template here as a string, and I will come to some of the limitations we now face soon. So we can create a template here and output a h1 tag where I say hello, like that. Keep in mind, you can't write a multi-line string that simple here. So I'll keep a very simple template here, and again, I'll come back to some of the limitations in a second. With that, I created a new Vue instance with its own template. It's now not deriving it from my code because I don't tell it to do so. I haven't set up an L element. Instead, it has its own element, its own template, excuse me. I can now say VM3 $mount and then pass app3 like this. And if I hit Control Enter with a hashtag in front of this, hit Control Enter, we see hello down there. So here we now see this template I set up here We're not using the template, we're not inferring it from our document. Instead, we're setting it up in the Vue instance. With that, I could even render or call mount like this with no argument, and this would render it created off screen. I could now call document get element by ID app3 and call append child. This is vanilla JavaScript here, nothing VueJS specific, and append my VM3 variable, this new Vue instance, and here the L property. This will now be the template of this instance. If I hit enter, you see hello again. So now what I did is I created this instance off screen. It has its own template, so it doesn't need anything else than that. And then I can append it somewhere in my HTML code with a normal HTML or normal JavaScript function here, append child, and pass the L property, which happens to keep my compile template in this Vue instance. Now we're getting into pretty advanced stuff, and I want to make a cut here. These are things I want you to know. The most common use case is to use the L property like here, or to use VM mount like here. Doing it this way is pretty uncommon, and one of the reasons why this is not that super common is that VueJS offers us so much greater ways of using it, like with the L property, or as we will soon learn, with components. Before going there, let me also explain why using a template like this has some limitations which could be problematic.